Okay, so we have a Craftsman V-twin. It's about 3 problems with this machine. The first one we have is we've got bad gas. And you can see the separation. There's water at the bottom, gas at the top, and it's very cloudy. So it's been in there a long time. Okay, and then the second issue that we have is it's hard to start. So when you turn the key, it goes and it stops. Now I've done all this testing, so I'm not going to go through it again on camera, but you'll just have to kind of trust that it doesn't turn over. And so what you got to do is you got to turn it until it gets off the compression stroke, and then turn the key and it'll start. So I took spark plugs out, and I charged the battery to make sure that wasn't a problem. And the starter, it does start it. You just got to get off the compression stroke. And the third thing that we had is we had loss of power. And so with it being a twin cylinder, it's possible that one cylinder isn't running and the other one's doing all the work. So what you do is you remove one spark plug wire, and if it stays running, then you know that side is good. Then you plug this spark plug wire in, take that one out, and you check it again. But they both ran. And they both ran at the equal power individually. But when you put both of them together, you could tell there was a loss of power. I came over here to the intake manifold. So this is the carburetor down here, and this takes the air and fuel mixture into the cylinders. And I sprayed carb cleaner around all the seals, and every time I sprayed around this seal, it would run differently. You could hear this change in sound as though it was running stronger. So it only lasts for a fraction of a second, but you could definitely hear the tone change, and that's how you check to see if this manifold is bad. These actually go bad quite a bit. They warp. Sitting right over the muffler like this, they warp pretty bad. The gaskets go out. So they say that you should change these about every 4 to 7 years. Okay, so we're going to take the valve cover off. And the reason we're doing this, we're going to check the valve clearances. Because valve clearances that are too big can keep it from turning over easily, because the valve is not opening, causing compression inside the cylinder. Okay, so we're going to have one go up and one go in and one come out. So we'll turn the engine by hand. Okay, so the bottom one is in, the top one is out, and we can check the 7. The 7 easily goes in. As a matter of fact, let's just check to see what it actually is. Here's 19. Nope, 19 doesn't go. Here's 15. 15 goes. A little tight, but it goes. Let's check the bottom one. So it's supposed to be 4 to 7 thousandths. So again, let's there's 21. 21 goes. So it's supposed to be no more than 7, and that's 3 times bigger. Let's see where we're at. Let's see. Here's 30. 30 goes. A little tight, but 30 can go. So they're really out of spec. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to loosen the nut. This is the locking nut. Then we'll tighten the Torx. We're going to put our 4 thousandths feeler gauge in there. And then we'll tighten it up. Here's 4, or 7 should not go in. 7 doesn't go in. Okay, so now we'll do the top one. Put our 4 in there. Check our 4. 4 goes in. 7 does not. Okay, since it's leaking oil so bad, this gasket was pretty brittle. It wasn't broke, but it doesn't take much to break it, so I'm going to replace the gasket. Make sure the model number and stuff is in the upside. OHV is upside right. Otherwise you can't read what the model number is and it's hard to order parts. It's always best to start your screws by hand, and then you can use your impact to tighten it up a bit. Don't over tighten them. Okay, we'll do the other side. Now, your impulse for your fuel pump right here, hose goes in there. That's where it gets the impulse, so it will pump the pump. And make sure you get that put back when you put it back together, because we'll have to take that off. See? Put a 4 in there. Yeah, huge gap. I'm not going to see what it is, but I'm sure it's as bad as the other one. And then we'll loosen the locking nut. Put a 4 in there. We'll turn the center torque screw. There, we got it. Check the 7. 7's good. Okay, so we want to make sure that we get our impulse tube in there. Okay, so now we're going to put the spark plugs in, and then we can test to see if turning over issue is gone. So we're gapping it 30 to 35. Okay, and you're always going to turn these in by hand so you don't strip anything. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over, but I'm not going to try to start it. I just want to see if it will crank over with that hard starting. Need to get the brake set here. That did it. No more hard starting. Turns right over. Before it would stop. So both our spark plugs are in. So now we'll take off the shroud to get to that air intake manifold. So we got a mouse nest in there that we got to get cleaned up. So I'll do that off camera, just know I'm going to have to clean it up. Otherwise it'll overheat. Okay, so now we're going to take the carburetor off. There's a bolt underneath it. And then 2 bolts over here, same as the other side. Okay. Now it's going to drop down, and we got to disconnect our linkages, take off our solenoid wire. And we'll have to take off our throttle cable. Okay, so we're going to use an inverted Torx screw, Torx head, Torx bit, whatever you want to call it, socket, to get these out here. When you take this apart, you want to be very careful that you don't let the gaskets drop out without you identifying how they go back on. Each one of these is a little bit different, so you want to make sure you do it right. As a matter of fact, there's instructions with the new intake manifold telling you to watch for that. Okay, so that gasket stayed, but this one, we got to be careful. That gasket stayed, and there is no gasket there. Okay, so you might see that that is a bit warped. I don't know if you can pick that up on camera, but when you compare it to the other one is completely flat. The other thing is, you see those gaskets, they protrude out a bit. These are smashed flat, so we weren't getting any sealing there anymore. Okay, so my camera got messed up a little bit. So what we have a gasket, a metal plate, and then another gasket. So we got to replace that exactly. So we have gasket, gasket, and metal plate. Now, when you read the instructions, there's different types of gaskets that can be used for your lawnmower, whichever. So you may have a half gasket. So like this one is a full gasket. And this one's a half gasket, but this particular one is full gasket, so we don't have any half gaskets. So anyway, I got to clean this up. I'll do it off camera. Okay, so my camera got a little messed up, but you saw how I took it apart. Now, I had to replace the gaskets, obviously. So when you replace the gaskets, you got this metal plate. I actually have an extra set just in case. I messed up the first set, I bought a second set. When you reassemble it, you're going to put your gasket down first, and then your metal plate. Now, there's a direction on the metal plate. You have these little divots here. If you push this inside the carburetor, your throttle will not open. So you got to make sure that it's flipped upside down or upside right. And then you put another gasket here. So you have 3 layers that you got to put on. So now we'll put the carburetor back onto the lawnmower. You probably can see how much dirt was being sucked in because there was a leak there. All right, so we're going to hook the throttle up to the governor. Swing this around. We'll start our bolts here. Okay, so when you put these in, you want to be super careful that you don't strip them. Okay, once you get it going in by hand, then you can use your tool. Okay, we'll put our choke cable back on. Okay, so we're going to put our choke all the way into open position. We're going to make sure the choke is off on the dashboard. And then we'll tighten it up. And then when we pull the choke, it should go all the way this way. We're just going to put the fuel line on for a second so we can test it to make sure everything works. And then we'll have to take it off so we can put the shroud back on. Okay, I started it off with the camera and it did fine. We'll start it again as soon as I get the rest of it put away, but I didn't want to run it too long with the shroud off. You know, somebody's going to say, hey, you could have put permit text on that intake manifold and it would have been fine. And that's true, it probably would have been, but I'm doing this for a customer. And so I don't want to take any risks. If you wanted to do that on your mower, it probably would work. Okay, so looks like we got all the problems resolved. So I'm gonna wash it up, take it for a test drive, wash it up, and call the customer. So if you'll click this up next box, it'll take you to a video where I show you how to order parts. So I'll put this video helps you work on your equipment under the shade tree. Thanks for watching.